I just think that humanities, I don't know what you would call it, but my point is like learning about who you are and who others are in relation to you is imperative from a very early age. And so you should, because that's not oh, well, I could just look that up on the internet. That's a way of thinking. You have to learn how to converse with people in a healthy way and learn how to converse with yourself in a healthy way. And we don't teach that in school.
Alrighty, what up, you guys? I'm Brysin Smith.
And I'm Javin. And this is Who Cares?
Yeah. Okay, so if you're new to our channel, thank you for stopping by. Here on this channel, we talk about controversies and interesting topics. We try to focus on topics that don't get a lot of attention. So yeah, if you're stopping by, we appreciate you, and we'd appreciate it if you keep stopping by. But today's topic is going to be about reconstructing the high school education system. Yeah. I think that a lot of what's being taught in high school, I think a lot of it needs to be changed. I don't agree with a lot of the teachings. I think they should focus more on real things, like things that you would actually apply into your real life when you go to high school. So I've actually come up with a few things I think that needs to be taught in high school. I actually wrote them down for you guys. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to break down what I think needs to be taught, and then I'm going to have Javin basically criticize. And whether he agrees or disagrees with what I think should be taught in high school, we're going to go over that.
So we've kind of covered a similar thing in the past. We've talked about high school, just how school, what topics should and should not be taught in schools and curriculum. But this is more of a hard-hitting, this is, instead of like an abstract, well, what should, he's like proposing actual, this is what I think.
This is what I think,
yeah. So this is...
I wrote it down here on my phone. So the first thing, or one of the first things I put down was personal finance and credit. I think that they should be teaching high school students how to use their money at an early age. Like, I mean, I just got through talking to someone I know personally who was telling me, she told me that she wished she would have learned about finances in high school and how to use your credit. Because, you know, after you graduate high school, you're kind of, when you step out into the real world, you know, everything's so new. You know, you don't know how to use money. I think they should be teaching that stuff like in school. I think it would really benefit teenagers, you know, or even getting like your first job when you're in school. I know a lot of times I didn't have a job in high school, but I knew people that did have jobs in high school, and I know that they would blow all their money on clothes, which is fine. It's okay to spoil yourself here and there. But like if they taught you how to use money, like on how to save money, or maybe you should take $50 or $100 out of your paycheck, whatever it is you make, and just save it towards, you know, your future or something like that. I just really think they should teach you how to use stuff like that in school, because credit is like anything you would buy, any major thing you would buy, like a house or a car, you could use things like credit. And I just really, I'm firm on teaching students how to use something like that in high school.
So like a budgeting class? Like,
yeah, so see, that would be super beneficial, I think.
See, I've taken a budgeting class, and
in high school though?
In high school. It was in high school.
Okay.
Because it was kind of like a home ec type class. I went to a religious school, private school, for most of my high school career. And what they wanted a personal, like a spiritual development class. But my teacher didn't buy into the whole, like, he didn't want to crack open a Bible and just be like, this is what the Bible says. Right. He was more like, I kind of just want to teach you guys how to live. So I took the budgeting class, and it was good. I actually did enjoy that class. But at the same time, what are you going to teach them to do, really, in the budgeting class? Like, are you teaching them what they should budget for, or are you just teaching them how to cut up their money? Like,
it could be both. Well, what did you learn? What did they teach you for yours?
See, this is where I think it was both a valuable experience and a worthless one, because they taught me how to budget for a full life. For example, if I had kids, or if I wanted a health insurance and stuff like that, they gave us a program where it's just like, okay, you're given this amount of money and you have these amount of responsibilities. How do you manage your money? And on the one hand, it's cool to see. It's like, wow, this is hard. It's like a resource management game, but that's all it is.
Right.
It's I have a very different life from that.
I
The
hear you.
values they said I should have are not the ones I have now,
Okay,
for
so maybe
better or
that
for
wasn't-
worse.
So do you regret I mean, I don't want to get stuck on
regret
it because I have a list of things I want to go down, but I don't have the answers. I just think it's a good idea. I'm not a teacher. I just think it'd be a good idea to teach students in high school on how to use their money and learning about credit.
Okay. I guess the only criticism I have for that is, could you look that stuff up online and get as good, a decent enough amount
You
of
could say that about
information?
anything nowadays. I mean, we have the internet. You could really do that with anything.
Right, which is why I think school shouldn't be about what content they're giving out, but rather how to use that content.
Maybe that could possibly work for high school.
Okay. Let's go to the next one. Let's go.
Okay, so another one I have. I think that I don't know if this should be like a main thing. Like, for example, the first one, the money one, I think that could be replaced with like social studies or something, but that's a whole nother conversation.
That's true.
Because I think social studies is useless. But my next thing I think should be taught relationship values. I think that it is important because I know a lot of times relationships, especially for going through like something hard in a relationship, a lot of times, teens, along with all their emotions, up and down, they can't handle relationships and people might even contemplate suicide. Like my cousin knows someone personally who killed themselves because of a relationship. And I can see how, things like that when you're still developed, well, even if you're fully developed, like a breakup is a breakup.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that there should probably be some ways to where maybe teachers can come up with for students to kind of help them through that.
Right.
And I came up with this list kind of looking at it from a perspective of like realism. I tried to come up with ideas to where things that you would actually be doing like in your everyday life, like outside of school, like something that you actually need, that's kind of how I came up with it.
Okay.
What do you think of that? You disagreeing with me, Javin?
No, I'm not. And in fact, I would even take it a step further.
Let's hear it.
I think, so I've advocated in the past.
By the way, I think everything I'm doing is a statement.
Everything.
So I'm just going to...
It's a pitch meeting.
Statements.
You're like, this is what I think should be taught. I'm of the opinion that you should learn different ways of thinking rather than content. I can learn content anywhere, especially now on the internet. It's how I want to be taught. It's the ways. But in terms of mental health, like
that's also one we're going to go over.
I would actually put relationships and like
under mental health,
sex ed, relationships.
That's also one I put down too. We're going to get to them. Yeah, we're getting. You're already saying them.
That's right. Well, I just think that humanities, I don't know what you would call it, but my point is like learning about who you are and who others are in relation to you is imperative from a very early age. And so you should, because that's not I could just look that up on the internet. That's a way of thinking. You have to learn how to converse with people in a healthy way and learn how to converse with yourself in a healthy way. And we don't teach that in schools. Yeah.
I agree with that.
Fuck yeah.
I like that.
Because we don't teach. Oh God, we're so hung up about the stupidest things. It makes me angry.
I know, right?
But like I don't know what I would call it. A mental health class, something like that. But I feel like that would encompass sex ed, a humanity class. I don't know what you fucking call it. But it needs to be a thing.
Right.
Because go for it.
So my next one was human rights.
A whole class, huh?
Yeah, I mean, human rights are very, very important. Especially nowadays with, the whole LGBTQ community, Black Lives Matter. There's just a lot going on. And I think that if you have a nice grasp on human rights, like understanding people, because I feel like a lot of people judge people all the time. And I just think that if people were just more open-minded to understanding people and their rights, things could be a lot better. It's just a pitch. This is just what I was thinking in my head.
I get it.
Whether it be a main class or some sort of side class, like I think the financial credit card, I think that should be like a main thing. Like you have to do that in high school.
I get you.
Yeah, as far as this one, it's just something I'm like, I think that it'd be important to learn about human rights in high school.
I think that already exists. Just it's kind of an emaciated. It's like kind
Oh,
of
that's what I'm saying. So
like social studies. I think that's
Yeah.
what social studies should be, is learning about society. Social
right. I
studies.
think they need to get rid of social studies because like it's so. I don't know anyone since I've graduated high school that has brought up social studies. Like we took that, and I'm just like thinking about it. I probably haven't till recently said the word social studies in years. Like that's how useless it was to me, personally.
Social studies is a glorified history class, and history classes are already kind of like they're not doing very hot. But I think I wouldn't get rid of social studies. I would say that cultural studies, right? The learning about our society, learning about culture and the issues or social issues and stuff, that should be a part of social studies. And you should be taught that at least in high school. That should be taught with more fervor than
what it is.
what it is. And I think that about every subject. But that one in particular is especially relevant to our society. So I guess I'm agreeing with you, but I think it already exists.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. So my next one was nutrition. I think nutrition should be taught. It's very important to be up on your nutrition, especially since in America, like we love to eat fast food and whatnot, and we're like extremely obese. And I think it's a huge problem. And I think that if we were more firm on our nutrition in high school, because I think it's very important to get these to get really firm on something in high school as you're growing is really important, because you usually tend to carry those type of firm ideas in your head past high school into your adult life.
Right.
So I think if we're teaching something like nutrition early on, that like I don't think like the physical education is here is not the best.
Nope.
Not the best at all.
Well below what the standard should be.
Right.
Yeah.
So like outside of the physical education, if they're actually teaching people, what's healthy for them, what's not healthy for them, or healthy for you, like I think that could be super beneficial.
A
Would you
health
agree?
class. Yeah.
I think that should be
Better in our
I think that should be like a staple. Like, gotta know about nutrition. That's what I think.
I see some pitfalls in that. I see
Like what?
literally just liability. Nutrition is such a hard thing to pin down because of just the sheer diversity that people are. So trying to teach it,
You mean like different bodies, like people?
like it's I'm not gonna go the it's too complicated route, because we teach math and math is extremely complicated, and
Yes. I
so
don't think
we
any of
teach
these,
complicated things.
I don't think any of these topics are too complicated to teach.
No, absolutely not.
Especially with all the creative minds out there.
For sure. But nutrition in particular is tricky, because I could teach you something about nutrition and in 2 years it's found to be completely wrong.
You think so?
It happens all the time. But that's not because it's a bad science or anything like that. It's just there's so many different kinds of events, and it's a very dependent science. It depends on so many different things, so it changes a lot. It changes a lot. And we're trying to get better at it. So if I teach something wrong, I'm responsible.
Okay.
And that kind of sucks. But at the same time, I do agree with what you're saying. There are some basic statutes. If we're going to talk health science, and in fact, I want to talk about this in a future video. We're going to do this.
We can do that.
Where there's tons of misconceptions about science. Like you were talking about obesity. Obesity is a problem, no doubt. Actual health issues result from obesity.
Right.
But we often assign health to body types, which is wrong. Not morally, but maybe a little morally. But I mean, like scientifically wrong. If you look overweight, that doesn't actually mean you're less healthy. And in fact, it might,
No, you're right.
in some instances, mean you're more healthy.
No, you're right. I hear what you're saying.
So if we could teach children that the actual science behind being healthy doesn't relate to your physical appearance, I think that would be a tremendous help. That would be valuable to me.
So my next topic is sexual education,
Damn straight.
which I know you have
yeah.
very vibrant words to say about sexual education, because I know you don't like the sex ed here. I think that should be a staple as well.
100%.
Sexual education is important because we are human beings and it's natural to have sex. It's a very natural thing. And I don't understand why sex is such a what's the word I'm looking for?
It's such like a
Like
secret.
sex. Yeah, it should not
Taboo.
be
It's a
so
taboo.
taboo-ish when talking about sex because it's so natural. Like it's as natural as breathing or eating. I think that
It's how you're here.
exactly it's how all of us are here. And I think if we start teaching like real sex in high school, that could be super beneficial for a lot of teens.
I like that phrasing. Real sex.
Like, well, porn isn't real
I get
sex.
you, I
okay?
get
like,
you, yeah.
like actually going in, like that should be a class for teens. Like sex should be a normal thing to talk about. It shouldn't be this taboo foreign, like, ooh, like, you see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, no,
that's
like,
what I think.
I
Statement.
yeah, fuck yeah.
All these are statements.
All of these. Sex education is invaluable to me. I think, again, I hate the rhetoric that it should be parents teaching their children. While I do agree that that is the case, it will never be the case. It just won't happen often enough and as informed enough as we need it to be. Parents consistently fail their children, not even on purpose sometimes. They just do what they think is right, and they're wrong. That happens. So it's good to have a system of education based off of reliable information about sex and the psychology behind it, because what I feel like we don't get enough of, and I'm going to go on a rant here. We have time for it, so I'm gonna
Okay, we're listening.
Sex, the actual reproductive system and all of that is incredibly important. And I think learning more about it actually does help us learn about our experiences with sex. For example, you know that your body does this particular thing. You'll understand, oh, I can't get pregnant from sitting on a toilet. That makes sense. That makes sense, because why would that ever happen now that I understand the human body a little bit more? But then it goes further, and we never take this next step where we talk about all the complexities of the psychology behind sex. For example, being sexy, right? That idea is something very valuable to our society. And a lot of students who don't feel quote unquote sexy have extreme mental stress and strain and stuff like that. And being told that's normal, you're okay. And in fact, this idea you have of yourself doesn't relate to the actual experiences you're going to have in life. Like, for example, somebody who is overweight and feels like nobody would actually think I'm attractive.
I think social media has a huge influence on that as well. And you see all these celebrities and models when you go on your Instagram feed.
It's crazy because it's just untrue. Not in the sense that the people on Instagram aren't sexy, but social standards of what is beautiful changes literally by the decade.
Yes,
So
right.
it's like skinniness being attractive because it's healthy or something. It's not true. It's scientifically not fucking true. Just being taught that sex is an experience that's personal and multifaceted, and it has this huge range of diversity. You can be asexual, bisexual. Being taught the psychology of it, I think, is more important almost than the actual just reproductive system. Anyway, that's my rant. Go ahead.
I agree with you. For my next one, I actually put sexual education and parenting in the same category.
Parenting.
I
That's
kinda put that
interesting.
into the maybe I shouldn't have done that, but that's what I put when I was like thinking of this. My last topic, I put survival skills, but now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, I don't think that'd be extremely essential to like. We don't need to learn about that in class.
Didn't you say driving was one you wanted to?
Now, yes, I do. I would play survival skills with driving. I've said this before. I'll say it again. I really think that they should teach kids how to drive in school. And I know that they used to do that way back in the day and they stopped. Why, I don't know. But I definitely think that they should start doing that again. And I also think that that could lower,
Mortality rates.
Yeah, for teens and stuff like that. Actually learning how to drive in school would really, really help. Also, I also think, well, I was going to say I think psychology should be a staple in high school. But,
Like human studying humans and minds.
What do you
and
think
stuff.
about that? I know I have a friend that also thinks that Scarlett Senpai, if you've been on our YouTube channel, you'll see her as a regular on our show. She thinks that psychology should be like a staple in high school.
I'm a psych major, so
Are you?
I am.
I didn't know that. Okay.
I'm in between psychology and biochem.
Okay, that's cool.
I want to be a neurologist when a
I knew
neuroscientist,
that.
not a neurologist. I don't want to go into medicine. I just want to do research on the brain. But point is, I think that psychology is an extremely important part of humanity. More than that. Okay, so not to steal from your pitch, but I think that learning different ways of viewing the world is what school provides. Math is a way
Sounds
of
like a statement.
that's what I fucking believe. School is to change your perspective on things, not to teach you some rote information, just kind of like stuffing in your brain with facts that you may or may not use. I don't think it's about
Literally.
that.
Well, that's what it is, though.
But at the same time, I do understand your perspective of like finance would just be stuffing your brain full of stuff, but you would probably use most of it.
That's and that's kind of how I try to gear these topics on things that you would actually use in life versus things that you will never use. Because I feel like a lot of what high school is a lot of things that you would never really
use.
Like,
And that I concur with. I think if you're just in history class learning random facts about history, you're not taking the right history class. And you might not have a choice in that, which is bullshit, but that's neither here nor there. History is a way of thinking. It's about viewing the facts before you.
History is a way of thinking?
Yeah, being a historian, you have to think a certain way. For example, I find this object that very clearly related to an old civilization. How do I approach finding out what that object is for? What kind of thinking would I need to use to think about what would this be used for? Why would this society even have this?
Okay, I hear you, Javin.
Yeah, that's a way.
We hear him.
We're all in the same boat. Math is a way of viewing the world. If this pattern holds true, then what does that mean about this pattern? Is there a comparison here? Can I actually use this information to apply to my reality some way? Science is almost exactly the same thing, where I'm like, well, how the fuck, why is that green? Why? Why are tree leaves green at all? Why? There's a way of thinking that will get you to that answer.
I got you.
So when it comes to personal finance and stuff like that, English, right? So my uncle goes on rants about this all the time. He teaches English and critical thinking and stuff like that.
Who much we're gonna have on the show? He's an English teacher,
yeah,
right?
We're gonna do.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's an English teacher.
All right, cool,
we're gonna hopefully pitch this.
Yeah, these ideas to him and hear what he has to say since he's an actual professor. So I think it'll be interesting. Or we think.
I think so. I hope he agrees. What I think is that English teaches you a lot of what finance is, which is literally read the thing, follow its instructions, and understand what those instructions are intended to mean. That's like a contract, like taxes. Read the instructions, figure out what they're trying to say to you, and follow the directions. Now, it's not all that. You also have to consider, okay, well, they say this, but maybe they really mean this. Different ways of thinking.
Can I add in a little sidebar here? I'm glad you said taxes. I want to put that in the category of the financial category, which was the first one I brought up. They should teach high schoolers, teenagers on how to handle their taxes at an early age too, I think. That's what I think.
I think taxes are very easy, and you could look it up online, and it would be remarkably easy to follow through on.
I mean, you probably could. A lot of people don't, though. Like, so many people. Who was it? Waka Flocka? One of these rappers said I think it was Mike Tyson as well. He said they had never looked in, like, he was grown. He was a millionaire and didn't know how to do his taxes. Like, and you should know how to do something like that.
You should. But I'm saying, like, school, even if they teach you that, you might not. English, what they teach you, hopefully what they teach you, and history is find the information, find out what it means. If you can't look up online how to get your taxes, you weren't taught right. You weren't taught how to do it. So back to my original point, I think that psychology is one of those things that school doesn't teach you. I don't think
it should, though.
History, English, math, science. I truly don't think any topic in school teaches you how to be mentally healthy and how to relate with people in a healthy way. And you could argue maybe that's just the whole school experience.
They should teach on mental health too.
They fucking should.
That
and
should
sex
be,
ed and stuff.
all that. Yeah, that should be.
So yes, I guess I'm agreeing with you on that front.
You guys we're gonna wrap this up right now. So you guys can tell me your thoughts on if you agree with me or if you don't agree with me, or also let us know what you think you should be learning about. If you're a teenager watching this, write in the comments what you think you should be learning about in school or what you would like to learn about. And so, if you're new, we appreciate you, and like and subscribe, and
argue in the comments.
Yeah.
Aggressively. Don't be like an asshole, but argue. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
Hopefully with a guest.
Deuces.